The transatlantic slave trade remains one of the darkest chapters in human history, as countless men, women, and children were forcefully uprooted from their homes in Africa and transported to the Americas. The conditions on the slave ships were nothing short of horrific. The harrowing journey across the Atlantic was a nightmare of unimaginable suffering and despair for the enslaved individuals. The cramped and filthy conditions on the slave ships were breeding grounds for disease and death. The lack of sanitation, adequate food, and water turned these vessels into floating hells. The enslaved Africans were packed tightly into the hold of the ships, often chained together in unimaginable filth and darkness. The stench of sweat, vomit, and excrement hung heavy in the air, while the cries of the sick and dying echoed throughout the cramped quarters. Disease ravaged the captives, claiming countless lives even before the ships reached their destinations. Dysentery, smallpox, and other infectious diseases spread like wildfire, exacerbated by the appalling living conditions. The mortality rates on board these ships were staggering, with some estimates suggesting that as many as 1 in 5 enslaved individuals died during the Middle Passage. The brutal treatment of the enslaved Africans by the crew further compounded the horrors of the voyage. Many captives were subjected to physical and sexual abuse, with women and girls particularly vulnerable to the predations of the crew. The psychological trauma inflicted upon the enslaved individuals cannot be overstated, as they endured the cruel and dehumanizing treatment at the hands of their captors. The mental anguish of the enslaved individuals was exacerbated by the uncertainty of their fate. Stripped of their freedom and forced into the bowels of the slave ships, they faced an unknown future in a land far from their homes. The despair and hopelessness of the enslaved Africans, torn from their families and communities, is a testament to the inhumanity of the transatlantic slave trade. The legacy of the transatlantic slave trade continues to cast a long shadow over the world, reminding us of the unspeakable suffering endured by millions of enslaved individuals. The horrors of the slave ships, with their overcrowded, squalid conditions, serve as a stark reminder of the depths of human cruelty and the enduring resilience of the human spirit. It is a history that demands to be remembered, acknowledged, and never forgotten.